Here amid matchless natural beauty is an opportunity really to live. For whether it be the outback or along a beach-covered coastline, Mother Nature has been kind indeed. Sunshine, open air, good food. No wonder Australia's children are bright, energetic and healthy, but not all of them. Thousands of young Australians are condemned to loneliness and despair, for they are special. Until 5 years ago, they had no hope. They and their parents were tied down by tragedy. And then out of despair and heartache, mothers and fathers of spastic kiddies met and banded together under Mrs. Neil McLeod.
I have asked you to come here today to put a plan before you. Every one of us tells the same story. The soul-destroying trek from doctor to doctor, and always with the same result.
Nowhere to send the child for the treatment it needs. Are we going to go on watching our kiddies getting worse as the years go by, seeing them growing older, condemned forever to wheelchairs, without education? We have been told that to establish a treatment centre and school, complete with necessary transport, is too big a task for anyone.
My appeal to you is that we band together and somehow do it ourselves. Perhaps we will fail, but we have nothing to lose and so much to gain. Are you willing to try? Thank you. Then here is my plan.
So parents of spastic kiddies planned together, and the Sydney merchants gave them this home for a rent of $1 a year. But that was only the start. Fathers worked weekends clearing land ready for another building. The spastic centre denied help to none, and the old building was soon crowded. So with volunteer labour and gifts of material, this medical building grew, a monument of man's kindness to children. Today the centre's 14 buses cover 2,500 miles each week, bringing children from all parts of Sydney. No mother could do it alone. But the plan they made together really worked. Spastic paralysis is a brain injury before, during or after birth, which interferes with the voluntary control of some of the muscles of the body. And the child finds learning difficult because he cannot hold his hands steady to write, or because there's no one to take him to school. But for the spastic centre, these children would have been dismissed by society as hopeless mental defectives. She would have been condemned to a life of tragedy. Instead, she's starting school, in kindergarten, just like any other youngster. Her handicap to progress isn't a mental one, it's physical. Little limbs that don't obey her brain. As she grows, she'll enter the lower primary school. There she'll learn to spell and do sums. But how? She'll use this steel magnetic board, pushing blocks with letters and figures on them. You see, these children only want the chance to beat their disability. Every one of them has the courage. And these are the senior students, aged 9 to 19. The miracle of electricity helps them study, with adding machines and electric typewriters. In this class is Reg. He'll never write, even to sign his name. And he was 13 when he joined the centre. Now he reads Shakespeare's plays and books on science. He wants to study science at the university, and he probably will. But now children start school earlier. The story of Reg might be the story of any of these kids. Doctors examine each child to see what medical treatment they require, and the spastic centre sees they get it. Every scientific aid is available, and in addition to the major purpose of treating spastics, valuable research is carried out. Some children need plaster casts to stretch tight muscles and to check muscle overaction, which may lead to a fixed deformity. Each spastic child has a special requirement, and sprints have to be individually made. One child's foot may tend to move down, but not up. A special splint will correct that. All that for children who want to be able to walk. Because of defective muscle control, Children must learn in self-help classes to clean teeth, brush their hair, and do those 101 little things that without the spastic centre would be another job for an already harassed mother. Learning to help themselves and learning muscle control at the same time. School, play, and medical treatment are cleverly combined. In spastics, the muscles of swallowing and breathing are often affected. Blowing out candles is a delight to any child, but for this one, it's an important breathing exercise too. And in the speech therapy room, children learn to speak clearly. These children must be taught to speak not because they're mentally deficient, but because of tight muscles in their lips, tongues, or throat. Microphone to use, and so a wire recorder. And table tennis balls play an unusual role. And these are the kiddies who, but for the spastic centre, would be condemned to a lifetime of lonely heartache and bewilderment. This is the opening of a new world for them, a world every Australian child inherits as a birthright. Occupational therapy, doing something to get well. Here is an incentive, an interest, something on which to concentrate. And all the time, stiff muscles are being coaxed to work. The busiest spot is the physiotherapy room. Here the kiddies learn to coordinate movement. Splints are removed as physiotherapists give them specially designed exercises. Exercise, exercise, exercise. But it's worthwhile. He can see in a mirror on the ceiling the direction in which his limbs move. Gradually, movement is improved with muscle training. Exercise, exercise, exercise. This is Betsy. She's 9 years old and has never walked without assistance. But exercise and physiotherapy, plaster casts and splints have done their work well. Today she's going to walk for the first time. This is only one case. There are hundreds like her. In relaxing tight muscles, water plays an important part. You know how comfortable you feel after a warm bath? It's the same with hydrotherapy. Warm water helps relaxation of muscles, which because of their overaction are difficult to use. Then, while the muscles are relaxed, the child can learn to make more accurate movements. And spastic children who have never walked have been taught to swim. This is the pulley deck, which kiddies with the courage all children have call the torture chamber. It's another valuable aid in the long road towards being able to walk. Exercise and relaxation. They're twin aids for spastic disability. And constant voluntary relaxation is the foundation of the whole pattern. Children have difficulty in holding their mouths open for long periods. Often, before the spastic centre set up its own dental surgery, teeth decay and have to be extracted. Now teeth are saved, and mouths are shaped by dental care. This helps speech too. All this started from a plan made by heartbroken parents. They were helped by others who gave so that children might have the things in life they so richly deserve. The spastic centre grew. Parents donated £32 to start this work. Now the spastic centre costs £400 a week to maintain. It has its own buses to bring disabled children to school and treatment. It has its own medical staff. Its own splint shop and plaster, its own classrooms, teachers, and equipment for helping children along the road to health. Parents didn't plan it as a charity where everything would be free, nor is it a government institution with unlimited funds where treatment must be paid for. Mothers work at the centre 2 days each week to ensure that no money is spent apart from that needed for actual treatment and schooling. Here, faced with a never-ending struggle, economy has become a watchword. Fathers, brothers and friends of spastics do their share, working at least 2 days a month. Yes, here is a plan to claim lost lives, a plan for happiness, a plan that works. But it costs £400 a week to treat and educate the centre's 100 children. And there are hundreds more like them, condemned to be thought mentally defective, condemned to lonely, sad, friendless lives, unless they get a chance too. The Spastic Centre depends on your support, your gift. You can help some child enjoy the health and pleasures you count so dear. To give some child the supreme thrill, you can help her take just a few steps alone. Life can be so beautiful, and perfect health is a priceless heritage. Some things money can't buy, but a contribution to the Spastic Centre will help some spastic child to enjoy health, happiness, and the joy of living.